The court's aware the parties have a daughter age 15. She's in high school in the Andover school. She has to get ready for school by herself and go out and wait for the bus. After school, the child's still at home by herself. So we don't think that should be appropriate.
Shouldn't be any reason why she can't, at 15, stay at home by herself. Mr. Mantla, it's your motion, so you may proceed with the hearing at this time.
May it please the court, the first legal issue is custody and parenting time. As the court's aware, the parties have a daughter, Nara, age 15. She's in high school in the Andover School District. She doesn't have any siblings that are minors anymore, so she's basically at home by herself. If one of the parents isn't there, which is going to be an issue we're going to talk about. And the current ex parte order is shared residency with a 2-5 schedule. So every other weekend for each parent, and then each parent has 2 designated weeknights every week. And we're asking for the court to modify the ex parte temporary order so that dad has parenting time every other weekend from Friday at 5:30 to Sunday at 8 p.m. and then 1 weeknight per week from 5:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. And, there's a couple issues. I think the biggest issues coming up is summer. So child's not, she's in high school. She doesn't have, she's going to be at home during the summer. And my client is a cook in the Andover School District, and so she's not going to work this summer. So she needs to have primary residency this summer. We're asking for the whole year, but certainly this summer. And that's how it's historically been the last several years. 5 years ago, they were in San Antonio, and my client was a stay-at-home mom, and so we have that exhibit in our notebook. Let's see if I can find it here.
So since she's been in Andover, does she, I don't know what kind of work she would do during the summer unless there was some summer school as a cook, but is she ordinarily always off during the summer?
Yes, yeah. So when they were in San Antonio, I'll just give a history here. They moved to Wichita. It'll be 2 years ago this July. And so before that, they were in San Antonio, and she was a stay-at-home mom. And then when they moved here 2 years ago, she continued that. And then it was just 2 months. And so 2 months into last year, she took this job as a cook. And so she's historically been a stay-at-home mom, hasn't worked in the summer, and the child's 15, so she needs someone to watch her. She doesn't drive yet. So she still needs, a parent overseeing her during the summer. She doesn't have anybody in the house with her, so she'd just be by herself if both parents are working. She can't just be, we don't think she should be at home by herself, without any siblings or something to do. So the plan is always, my client always watches her during the summer. That's historically, how it's worked. And that's why in that exhibit, we have that VA, it's that documentation from the Exhibit L is in Larry. And this was when they're in San Antonio. It's a representation by petitioner that the respondent provides child care free of charge. And so that's kind of just to show the court the history here. That's what's been going on. And, there's been issues not only, with this during the school year now. There's been issues with the child texting mom while at dad's house and asking for her to get her stuff. And so that's another issue here. And I'm going to talk about that.
Let me ask before we go any further, what is your client's educational background?
Do you have any college?
No.
So have you graduated high school?
Yeah.
She's graduated high school, but she doesn't have any college education.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So, there's issues before school and after school with the current order under dad's time because dad has to go to work at 5:30 a.m. And so the child is just at home by herself. She has to get ready for school by herself and go out and wait for the bus. And, we're going to talk about, she has a history of having panic attacks, and she's at home by herself. So she really needs to have a parent there with her she needs that emotional support to get her, a good start to the day. And then after school, dad will often go to the gym, and then the child's at home. And so she's texting mom I think there was one instance where she has to get feminine care products, and we got in our exhibits photos of mom driving to the marital residence. That's Exhibit J. So the first one is on February 7th. And that's at 3:46 p.m. And there's a house with a blue car, and that's a marital residence. And so mom is just documenting, hey, dad's not here, and I'm driving to the house because the child's asking for something. And that's a Friday. And so she asked for feminine care products that day. The next photo is on March 3rd at 5:46 p.m. And so dad drives a pickup truck, and it's not in the driveway, and that's where he parks it. And so my client's documenting that he's not at home. And so Friday, February 7th, Monday, March 3rd, that's the next photo at 5:46 p.m. On Mondays, mom drops off the child's luggage bag because she drives a school bus to school. She can't take her clothes and all that in a bag. So she's been dropping it off on Mondays. And so she's just documenting that the child's at home by herself without dad, and the child's there to meet her at the door, obviously, that type of thing. The next one, it says today on there. That was taken on March 24th. That's at 3:25 p.m. Mom's dropping off luggage, and then my client says dad was still at work at 6 p.m. So there's issues where after school, the child's still at home by herself. So we don't think that should be appropriate. My client's documented that there's been multiple days in January when the first orders first started that dad was home late and the child's having to figure out what to do for dinner. She doesn't know what to eat for dinner. On the 21st, we have a text message in our exhibits where dad says, Exhibit K, dad says, hey, you can pick up Nara, but please be sure to bring her home by 9 o'clock. That was his day for parenting time, but he had to work late. And my client had to actually drive to the military base and get his sergeant involved to make this happen because she was so worried about her being home all evening by herself. So that's really the issue here is
there shouldn't be any reason why she can't at 15 stay at home by herself. Although at 15, I don't think it's the wisest thing for a child to be home a lot by themselves and not their activities be supervised. And I don't know, they didn't seem to indicate they were aware of these anxiety fear issues, but I would imagine the breakup of her parents have certainly caused her some angst, and that a counselor can hopefully help with that. But I mean, we're not going to get a situation. I agree. If he's swinging shifts, first, second, third, and he's not there in the morning and he's not there when she gets home, and nobody's supervising her phone activities or computer activities or who's at the house and that kind of thing, that's problematic. But to suggest that a parent needs to be with her all the time at 15 years of age is impractical and, I think, unnecessary. I mean, part of their goal is to start getting this child ready for independent living. But I can understand that this is quite an adjustment for her. But what is the concern about extended periods of time and the child either not being able to cope, being alone, or it lends itself to her not being properly supervised?
I think just from talking to my client that they have a close relationship and she feels isolated. I mean, she's feeling isolated if she's at home by herself and doesn't have friends come over or siblings. I think it's an isolation thing and it's just not mentally healthy. So I think she's texting my client to come. I think there was one instance she brought her McDonald's. I mean, she's obviously looking for someone to interact with, and it's her emotional. I guess it's that factor under the statute. It's her emotional needs that aren't being met. If you wake up and you're responsible for getting yourself ready for the day, and you're 15, you have to go out to a bus, and then, I mean, kids need more emotional support than I think that at that age than what she's getting under the current circumstance. So it's really the emotional needs. My client's proposal is going to meet her emotional needs better.
Okay.
Exhibit I, we've got a photo of an unsecured firearm. We've got their exhibits. It's now it's now secured. It's great. Want the court to be aware, though, that it was probably our motion that caused that. So there's evidence, obviously, that wasn't the case. And so that's obviously a concern.
Can you tell me who the therapist is that she's seeing?
So what I understand is my client started her to see scheduled for her to see a therapist, and then the petitioner sent a message saying, "Hey, I wasn't invited," and my client thought she was going to get in trouble for scheduling it without him. So it's my understanding they never really took off.
Okay, well, that irrespective of the parenting time, that's going to be a requirement of the court. I cannot take one parent's word as to the mental state of the child over another. And so I need somebody for her to talk to, but somebody objective to advise the court the issues that she's struggling with and the concerns that the therapist may have for her. And that's just helpful in these kinds of situations to have an independent third party that hopefully is a advocate for the child and can provide the court with some insight as well.
Okay.
All right.
Moving on to the next legal issue, spousal maintenance. The court's aware my client works 32.5 hours a week, earning $13.77 an hour. The ex parte order kicked her out of their marital residence, their house. And so the ex parte spousal maintenance right now is $1,000 a month. Ex parte child support's $83 a month. So she's getting $1,083 a month plus her income from her employment. It's just simply not enough to live in a reasonable accommodations. So we are asking for spousal maintenance to be increased. I looked at Dad's original domestic relations affidavit, and I think there were some errors. He filed an amended one, but I figured his ability to pay maintenance and child support was $2,405 per month, based upon his original domestic relations affidavit. He's since filed an amended one. He states that the mortgage is increased for the rental in San Antonio, and he has more expenses that he forgot to claim in his first affidavit. So he represents his ability to pay child support and spousal maintenance is $2,020 a month in his amended domestic relations affidavit.
And by ability to pay, it's what you believe is left over.
That's what I
pay everything that's left over.
That's what I'm reading, because he's paying two mortgages. His pickup truck is $800 a month. The gas for that truck is $500. It's an extra large truck. So that's one of the issues. But yeah, the leftover amount from what he represents is $2,020. I calculated on his first affidavit for it to be $2,405.
Okay. Is your client opposed as far as the San Antonio? I'm not inclined to show income for him from the San Antonio property. I mean, if they can establish that, here's what we owe on the house, here's the mortgage payment, here's what we receive in rent, and any remaining money is put in some kind of auxiliary fund that neither one of them touch for repairs, insurance, everything associated with the house until you guys can either litigate or come to some final resolution in the divorce. Is your client opposed to that?
I mean, I don't think she's opposed to that. I think the issue is that we are asking the court to find that the rental business is breaking even. That's per the tax return, the schedule. I can't remember which schedule it is. Let's see. It's in their exhibits. It's breaking even on the 23 tax return. The amended domestic relations affidavit, I think, represents it's operating at a loss of about $180 a month. So we're not asking for that to be extra income, and they're asking for it to be counted as operating at a loss. So that, and my calculations of his ability to pay.
Well, I think ultimately that house is going to have to be put up for sale, period. I would imagine. And so what I don't have before me, no one provided me with what they paid for it and what it is currently valued at, you know, until the last year and a half when interest rates got high, real estate property was increasing in value exponentially. And so I don't know what they bought that San Antonio house for and what it's valued at, but if there's much equity there, the house is going to have to just be sold. I would think. So, okay, what else?
Well, Your Honor, we filed a domestic relations affidavit for mom. She needs to get her own place. She's living with a friend. That's Exhibit T, as in Tom. It's a statement from her friend. It's her friend and her friend's family, and she really wants to get her own place because she feels like she's, you know, at some point she's going to overstay her welcome, right? So she needs to be able to get her own place. We've got her need at $4,174 a month to rent a 2-bedroom at $1,600 a month, and she includes, you know, expenses for her comfort in there and her DRA. But so we're just, the relief we're requesting is a combined amount of child support and maintenance at $2,405 per month. So however the court wants to slice and dice child support and maintenance, we're asking for the combined total to be $2,405 a month, so that all the extra money is going towards her that isn't needed for petitioner. And I want to remind the court that, you know, petitioner receives a basic allowance for housing and sustenance, and that's higher than what it would be if, you know, part of that's supposed to go towards my client. So I just want the court to look at the big picture here. So that's the relief that we're requesting on spousal maintenance.
I didn't understand the BOE allowance or how much he's getting, because I'm not sure how that was calculated into his income. But not sure I understand the allowances that he's getting for living off base. Can you tell me exactly how much he gets as an allowance above and beyond his salary?
Yes, let me look at the leaves and earnings statement. So Exhibit M as in Mary shows that the basic allowance for sustenance is $465.77 a month. And the basic
$465.77
$465.77, yes.
for
basic allowance for subsistence, BAS.
okay. What about housing?
BAH is $1,686 a month.
1,000 what?
$686 a month.
Okay. And what's the house payment again?
I'd have to look at the domestic relations affidavit. The court will give me a minute here.
And does he have any kind of disability rating at all? An extra income from any kind of disability rating?
No, Your Honor.
Okay.
So the mortgage payment is $2,378 a month.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're just asking. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'll go ahead then. Has she checked, where's the daughter going to school?
Is it the Andover High School?
Andover Central High School.
Andover Central High School.
Okay. And has she looked into apartments, condos, townhouses, houses? I mean, has she made a list? Has she looked at what's available for her and what the cost will be to put down a deposit or anything of that nature?
Have you looked at all?
Yeah, I look some places.
Okay.
The apartment, I look at an apartment for 2 bathrooms. It's just close to the school. And then I look some houses too.
Okay. She's been looking. We put $1,600 in a domestic relations affidavit as a rough estimate. Is that?
Yeah.
She thinks it's a fair number.
Okay, so she's basically looking at apartments or duplexes then.
Yeah.
It's any house in Andover is going to rent for $2,000. but she's going to try to stay in the Andover area if she can.
I would assume so because she works there, and I mean, it'd be if she could. I mean, yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. What else? Let me go to your,
Next legal issue. Yeah, next legal issue is child support. Current ex parte amount is with shared residency. I think dad's owing 83 a month. Both parties have submitted proposed worksheets. Both parties agree that dad's income is $8,733 a month, and that mom's income is $1,788. I believe the dispute is who should remain at shared residency or primary. So we're asking for it to be with mom designated as primary, which would bump child support up to $1,010 a month. So we're asking for that relief on child support. And I filed an amended worksheet on eFlex. So.
all right.
Second to last legal issue is vehicles. There's 4 vehicles. There's a 2018 Ford F-250, a 2018 Mitsubishi Lancer, and a 2021 Mitsubishi G4, and a 2006 Toyota minivan. The ex parte order grants father possession of the truck, the 2 Mitsubishis, and grants my client possession of the minivan. The issue is the minivan just has all kinds of problems. It's got bald tires. It shakes when it stops. The air conditioner and heater don't work. There's a windshield wiper motor broken, and the CV joints are leaking. So our motion asks for her to be able to drive the Mitsubishi. Now we've got the exhibit showing the cylinder head's been removed. My client's seen that Mitsubishi move around in the driveway before, so with the cylinder head now removed, she's questioning if that was removed after the motion was filed. But irregardless, it's obvious that she can't drive that now. With all the repairs that the van needs, she's gonna need it. It's gonna be in the shop for a while, and she's gonna get a rental car. So she's asking for a $3,000 judgment to be paid within 30 days for her to take the van to the shop and get the rental vehicle. The 2 other Mitsubishis are project cars for racing, apparently. So she needs a vehicle that's reliable and safe for the child. So that's our request of relief on the vehicle. The last legal issue is wife's request for attorney's fees. She's had to borrow $3,000 from a friend to retain our firm. I can tell the court that money's probably going to be all about used up with all the motion filing and preparing and all that. That's Exhibit S and T to show that she did in fact get a transfer from a friend for this. I mean, the husband's in the military. He's going to get a military pension at 20 years. That's going to be where all the retirement is. There's a little bit of money in the TSP. When I say a little, I'm talking about $17,600. My client needs money, to pay for representation because she needs to figure out how to calculate her portion of the military pension. That requires sending discovery to figure out the credible years of military service, rank, high 36 months of base pay. And then she probably needs to hire someone to do the math, and we call them an expert witness, but we've got a person in Florida that handles it. And we have a relationship with them. They can do that. But we need to get that done for her. And so we need to do discovery, and we don't know how much litigation there's going to be. So we are asking for a judgment of $8,000 to be paid the wife. And obviously the money's there in the TSP. The husband can make a withdrawal. So we'd ask for that to be paid within 30 days. And that's all I have, Donor.
Okay, thank you. What about their position that the court doesn't have the authority during the temporary orders in the case to divide property? The court only has the legal authority to order the division of property at the final hearing.
Your Honor, I have to look at the temporary order in this case. Most cases I see the temporary orders state that you can dispose of marital property for reasonable living expenses or attorney's fees. So let me pull up the temporary order in this case.
Well, I think generally where it's been challenged is not when there's cash available, but where there are pensions or things that are tied up that have to actually physically be divided, or real estate, or things of that nature, the court making interlocutory orders to divide property, I think it's been suggested that that's not appropriate for the court to do. I mean, I'm not suggesting that you can't get some kind of order that he pays something or a judgment or it be included in spousal support or something like that. But I'm not sure I can start dividing up assets at the, initial phase of the divorce itself.
Your Honor, my response to that would be, we're asking for an $8,000 judgment. The petitioner can be responsible for getting that however he sees fit. If he wants to go get a title loan on his truck or one of his 2 cars, if he wants to sell one of those cars or both of those cars, those project cars, if he wants to trade in his truck for a smaller truck or a car, however he wants to do it, we're just asking for an $8,000 judgment, and he can do it however he wants. We have, that's our requested relief.
Okay, so they own 2 houses, but they have no savings other than this TSP account. They have no CDs, no savings in the bank, no savings accounts that have any amount of money.
I'll have to look at that domestic relations affidavit real quick.
I'm just trying to find a source of cash somewhere.
I'm looking at the amended DRA. There's a savings in a USAA with $1,835. There's 2 checking accounts. I assume the mortgage is paid out of both of those. So I think it's really just check to check from just observing the DRA.
Okay. All right. Thank you, counsel. Ms. Story?
Yes, Your Honor. First, for the record, I would like to let the court know I did file an affidavit in support of temporary orders. It was filed on January 6th of 2025. Just wanted the court to be aware of that. And also, in filing that, when we declare that alternate housing is available for both parties, my client had informed me and has continued to inform me that the respondent does have 2 adult children that live in Wichita with housing available. I would like to first move to the issues regarding the daughter. Respondent does work the first shift and has worked the first shift since January of this year, and they have not moved him, and they have indicated that because he has his daughter, they are not going to move him to different shifts so that he can have a stable work time for his daughter. And that is exhibited in Exhibit 11, which has his work schedule from it has a schedule for March, April, June, and July to show that he will still be working the first shift. When the petitioner wakes up and gets ready for work, he makes sure that the daughter is ready for school every morning without being there, and that's confirmed with Exhibit 13. We show that he gets a text message from his daughter at 6 a.m. or around 6 a.m. every day to say, "I'm awake." Dad says, "Good morning, love you." And she says this multiple times, "I'm awake, I'm awake, I'm awake," to make sure that she is up for school.
What are his hours then on first?
What's your hours on first?
So I come in at 5:30 and then I leave around 3:30. 3:30. It depends. But I'm usually home by 3:30, 4 o'clock.
Okay. Is your job like a desk job? Do you sit a lot or are you active?
Both.
Okay.
So I'm an aircraft mechanic. So sometimes I'm inside on a desk job. Other times I'm outside watching the aircraft on launch or supervise.
Okay. Do they provide you with any physical training or opportunity during the day while you're at work to do lifting or running or anything to maintain your physical?
Physical activities have to be done in our own time. We don't have a time set up at work.
Okay. And Ms. Story, what is your client's position about the upcoming summer? I mean, based based on what I have in front of me, I'm not that concerned about his parenting time during the school week, with him leaving before she does. I do want to make sure that he has cameras around the house.
He does, Your Honor. He does have cameras.
Okay, but you know, and he may have to come home, make supper, and see her after school, and then do an evening workout or something. I'm not sure. I mean, I think his time away from her should be restricted to right before and after school, be restricted to his work hours. But summer is going to be a long stretch of her being alone, which I agree is not preferred. So have you been able to talk to him about summer care for her? And I don't mean care in terms of like daycare, childcare. I'm just talking about somebody being available to her, checking on her, looking after her, keeping track of her activities and that kind of thing.
We've discussed putting her in a summer program during the school day or during the day where she might be at school. She also has neighborhood friends in the neighborhood who have parents in the neighborhood as well, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, I can tell you that I'm inclined to go with mom over any third parties for the summer. So we're just going to have to figure out a schedule during the school year and one during the summer. And of course, and I'm going to look back through here. I don't know how I missed your affidavit. I did. I owe you an apology, and I'm sincerely sorry.
That's okay,
As
Your
I
Honor.
indicated, though, I went through this case pretty fast, faster than normal, just because of what all was going on that week, which is not your fault at all. But I am going to need a schedule if he's activated.
Okay.
So we'll have to do something with regard to that as well. Now, we've used mediation in Andover. It's very expensive. And I'm just not seeing where these parties have much cash to work with. They probably each have to pay $1,000 to get started, and it could be $3,000 to $4,000 a piece to finish a parenting plan. So I'm thinking that maybe we find some kind of mediation initially, even if it's like Mediation Works or something, some low cost mediation to get them started.
Your Honor.
If we can't come up with a parenting plan, unless the two attorneys want to sit down in a room together and have the clients somewhere close by. I'm never opposed to that, but you got to give the folks the skills fortunately for them, they only have one child and she's 15. And so they don't have that many years. Thankfully, this is not a 6-year-old child, because there are complications with service and things of that nature. So they don't have too far to go. But they still need some good skills to be on the same page with parenting, discipline, rules, all that kind of stuff. So do you have a mediator that you are familiar with, that you think might work for these parties?
Yes, Your Honor. Midland Mediation, it's low-cost mediation. It's through Kansas Legal Services. It's a separate entity of Kansas Legal Services, but it's one that I'm familiar with from working there.
Okay. I think that's probably what I'm going to order. It might be that the military has mediators, but I can see that if there's some counseling going on or marriage counseling or something there, but I'm afraid it would just feel too one-sided for her. And so I think Midland's a good choice too. Okay, so he's on first shift.
Yes, Your Honor.
He has proposed what he thinks should happen for the summer. What else?
Your Honor, we would like to address the allegations of the guns being left unsupervised. There's
Okay.
been gun safes in that home since they have moved to Wichita, and prior. The petitioner has had access to those safes and the respondent has had access to those safes. The picture provided by the respondent is of the nightstand. Petitioner contends he has never left a gun in the nightstand. He puts them away in their safes. We have provided pictures of the safes, and those are
Okay.
Exhibit 15.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to do an order
Yeah.
that for some reason I thought I saw an AR-15, but I'm just going to do, but it's, 171, that wouldn't fit in, hopefully that fits in a safe, but that wouldn't fit in the nightstand.
That one's locked, Your Honor.
Okay. So there's just going to be a standing order that
Yeah.
no guns be available to the child or accessible. I mean, that's liability there for anybody with kids. And now that he's been put on notice that mom believes that she's having some adjustment issues or anxiety, we don't want, that's another reason to monitor her, get her in counseling, and just make sure she has easy access to any firearms. And he knows that, being in the military. I wouldn't be surprised if they have educational courses or something on that, but that's going to be an added order. Okay, what else?
Your Honor, regarding the rental property in Texas, they made allegations that we were not representing the income coming from that home correctly. In the lease that was for 2023 and 2024, which is Exhibit 7, it was $2,300, but when they re-signed the lease in August of 2024, it was $2,200. I do want to let the court know and be made aware that we use that to calculate child support. We use that income to calculate our child support. So we were in no way hiding that. There was a...
I thought you did. I don't want you to do that, though.
Okay.
I mean, I think this is a wash, and we just need to wait to see if they're going to sell it.
Okay.
And you need to get the value and what a real estate agent thinks they could list it for. I don't remember how long they've had that property, whether that's a short-term property too or not. But anyway, I just think that any extra money from the rent, he's going to have to show paperwork of what he's spending the money on, and put it and set up an account for the house. If he's not paying out that month, that it's in that account for taxes, insurance, homeowners, calling a repair person, or I don't know if they have a house management company or something, a real estate management company, but okay. Yeah, no, I don't think you were hiding anything there. Go ahead.
Well, and for Exhibit number 9, we did provide both the court and opposing counsel the property rental mortgage statement for for this year, and it does go up. So we do pay more in mortgage than what we receive in rent. And we also provided Exhibit 10, the homeowner's rental fees. The mortgage includes the insurance and the taxes, and then 10 is what he pays extra for the HOA. Your Honor.
Is that what puts him in the negative, the HOA fees?
The HOA and the mortgage, because he's getting $2,200 from the house, but he's paying $2,400 on the mortgage, which includes the insurance and taxes, and then he's in the negative because of the HOA fees.
So I didn't read that lease. It looked like a really good lease, but it was really lengthy. So I didn't read that whole thing. But I don't know why you wouldn't raise the rent to make sure you're at least covering the basic expenses of the home. And the HOA seemed high, but they must have a pool, not, wasn't it like 3 something every 3 months?
Yes, Your Honor.
I mean, I guess to some people that's not high, $100 a month or so, but, I didn't look to see when that rental agreement expires to see if the rent can be raised.
I believe it's August 2025, Your Honor.
Okay. So you're asking that difference, that $200 show as an expense, that he be allowed to show that as an expense?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Has he been the person solely managing all of this?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I just don't quite understand why he went with 2,200. Unless he just didn't. Do you know how long they lived in the house?
They've been in there, how long the parties lived in the house, Your Honor, or the
Yeah.
people? How long did you live in the house? 2 years?
So we left in July 2023. So almost 3 years.
Almost 3 years, Your Honor. The parties lived almost 3 years in that home.
Okay. Okay, what else?
Your Honor, we have our proposed child support worksheet. I believe Mr. Mantula, let the court know that the reason it's different is that ours, we're wanting shared and they're wanting, residential. So we've included our updated proposed child support worksheet. And as for spousal, Your Honor, I want to touch base a little bit on the spousal. They're claiming that an apartment in Andover would be $1,600 a month. Your Honor, I live in luxury apartments in downtown Wichita, and my rent is not $1,600 a month, and it's 2 bedroom, 2 bathroom. In fact, my father, who lives in Andover, lives in a duplex that has 3 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms, and it's not $1,600 a month. So I think that's a misrepresentation. I do understand that different places can have more or less. But I think before we make a decision on what is appropriate for spousal support outside of what we have been giving, there needs to be some research done before that can be changed, because that feels like a gross misstatement of what she would pay for that particular expense.
Okay, maybe it's 12 or 1,300 and then utilities. I mean, I imagine she could do something with some basic utilities. And it would be $1,600 a month. Yeah, I hate for her to have to live in an apartment with the child. And I don't know how long he's going to be able to afford the house. I just don't think they're in a great financial situation for either one of them at the end of the day.
Yes, sir.
What did you set the spousal? I know I wrote that down somewhere. Let me look here.
We set it at $1,000 per month, Your Honor. And on top of the $1,000 per month, we do have my client paying both parties' car insurance. He's paying all the marital debt, including all of the credit cards that have incurred prior to their separation. He's paying both mortgages. He's paying cell phones for both parties. In the child support worksheet, we've asked that he pay the minor child's direct expenses. So we're really asking him to pay everything that has been part of the marital.
Okay.